Hey miniature lovers, J-Star here, and today I'm going to be making tiny gilded frames and hanging beautiful art in the tiny chateau. A couple weeks ago, I was inspired by Steve Putnam at Steve Putnam Designs to hang my artwork in the Grand Salon from chains. And ever since then, I've wanted more artwork in the Grand Salon. I found this gold frame about 6 years ago on eBay, and I bought a couple dozen of them. But since then, I've learned to make my own because I use a lot of gold frames in my miniatures and also in my art. And there are plenty of ready-made miniature gold frames available on Amazon and on Temu. So don't feel like you have to invest in resin and molds and stuff like that. I just use a lot of them. So I've bought different molds so I could have lots of different shapes and sizes. And I have just learned the joys of UV resin, and it is great. So if you want to, I'm just saying. So I start by filling the mold with the UV resin, super simple. And then I use a cocktail stick to go around in the mold and make sure that there's no bubbles. A lot of times in these frames, the bubbles cling down in all of the intricate designs. And I also try to make sure that not too much of the UV resin is coming over the edge of the mold. You want to make sure that everything's inside the mold. It'll just make cleaning it up easier later. You can also tap the mold on your desk a couple times to release some of those air bubbles. It doesn't matter so much with the frames because I'm going to be painting them, but if you want something see-through without bubbles, then make sure to tap it to get all those bubbles to rise to the top so that you can pop them and get rid of them. And then on a level surface, I put them under the UV light and let them cure. Now this UV that I'm using says cure for 5 minutes. I let mine cure for as long as I can. I just want to make sure that all of the resin gets cured. And then oftentimes, once it's cured, I will take it out of the mold and flip it over and cure it open on the front just a few more minutes. And once they're cured, I sand their edges, the back edges and the inside edge, and a little bit on the face. If I feel anything sharp, then I go ahead and sand it. Again, I'm making aged frames, so I don't really want crisp edges. These round ones are a little bit plain to me, so I'm going to add a little detail with some pearls. I run a bead of glue along the little channel, and then I set pearls in all the way around. These pearls have no holes in them, so if you're using just beads, you can thread them on a string to make sure that no holes are facing upwards. You can also use metal ball and chain to run around the edges of frames, and that looks great too. For added strength, I add a little super glue between each pearl just to make sure that those are really secure in the frame. Once the glues have dried, I give them a coat of Rust-Oleum 2X metallic gold, which is my favorite gold spray paint. It is a beautiful gold. And then once the spray paint has dried, I give my frames a coat of brown antiquing wax. I don't worry about which brand. I have Waverly. This is Folk Art. You can even use regular brown paint. Sometimes I mix brown paint with a little Mod Podge and it has a little bit more tack. Just slather it on and make sure it gets into all those cracks and crevices. Then, without waiting for it to dry, wipe it off with a cloth. I will also use a stiffer bristled brush to get into all the crevices. If you're using the wax, about an hour or 2 hours later, you can buff it with a clean cloth and it'll get a little bit of a satiny sheen. Today, I'm also using some frames that I got on Temu. Again, I just took the basic resin frame, spray painted it gold, added the wax. And you can see here, those intricate crevices really catch that brown wax. So you can get in there with a little brush to get more of that out if you want. And these frames from Temu had a lot of sharp points and corners, so I gave them a really good sanding. Now my frames are ready, and I'm going to play with the layout. On one side of the room, I have two paintings hung landscape that I'm going to be flanking with the new art. And on the other side of the room, I have this Bronzino portrait of a young man hung in portrait orientation. And you'll notice I've laid out all of my frames sort of symmetrically on either side. On the other end, it's two matching pairs of frames, but on this end, the upper frames are different, the round and the oval. Having the similar but different items makes it look more like a collection. So now it's time to fill our frames with art. I'm going to start by measuring the inside area of the frames. I want the diameters of the circles, and I want the inside measurement of each rectangular frame. Now, be not afraid, but we will be using math. So these are the basic measurements of all of my frames. 7/8 inch diameter, 1 1/4 by 1 1/2, etc. Now I want to turn those fractions into whole decimals. I will actually be doubling these measurements eventually, so you could do that first. It would probably make it a little bit easier, but I did it this way. Some measurements are easy, like 1 1/4 is 1.25 decimals, but some, like 1 1/8 inch or 7/8 of an inch, are a little more difficult. You can pop those into Google and say, change 1 1/8 inch to a decimal, and it'll tell you that's 1.125, which we can then round to the next highest whole decimal, 1.2. The way I want to lay out my art and print it for the frames, I want to double those numbers. So just double all the decimals. But sometimes, like in the case of 1.25, which I had rounded to 1.3, when I double it, it would be 2.6. But I can double the 1.25 to become 2.5, and that's a better measurement. It's more precise. That's why I say it might be better to double the actual measurement, those fractions, before you turn it into the decimal. I hope I haven't lost you. I know math can be crazy. Obviously, Google is our friend. Another app that I use all the time is Canva. For anything with graphics or pictures or whatever, I use Canva. And I just use the basic free version on my phone. So what I'm basically doing is I'm going to create a 4x6 photograph that I can have printed at Walgreens, okay? But to make it the best resolution I can, I'm going to double those numbers. Again, we doubled the frame sizes, we're doubling the photo size to 8x12. So in Canva, make a project that is 8x12. This is a screenshot of my phone, and I've just turned it sideways so you can see the layout of the pictures the same way I'd showed you the layout before. Canva is pretty easy to use. If you ever have a question, I Google it. How do I do this on Canva on my phone? And Google will tell you. So to start, I want to make frames the same size as the inside of the frames that I'm going to be filling. I click Elements at the bottom of the screen and then choose my square, my circle, or my oval. Then, by dragging the corner with my finger, I make the shape the size of the inside of the frame, doubled. Then I click Style to make it a solid outline on the shape. Then I click Color to make it transparent, have no color. And I make a frame for each of the paintings that I want to print. In my case, all of the rectangle frames are the same size, so I can hit that little plus sign, the second icon above the shape, and just make copies of what I've already done. Once you have all your frames laid out, it should look something like this. Now it's time to find the art. Again, Google is your friend. Just go on Google and search artists that you like, a specific painting that you want, whatever kind of art you're looking for, and save them to your photos. Now, click Upload and upload those paintings that you like to Canva, and then click each photo to add it to your project. You can size your photos of your paintings to be the same size as the frames that you've already made. You will need to position your uploaded photo behind the frame, so scroll across that bottom menu until you find Position and click To Back, and you'll see that it puts it behind the frame. And do that for each of your photos of your paintings so that they fit each of the frame sizes that you have. You'll notice on some of my frames, I changed the color to make them easier to see, so you might want to do that as well. Another little thing that I sometimes do is I'll add a shape the same color as the background of each painting. So again, click Elements, use the position to put it behind the painting, and then change the color to a background color from the painting. There's a little eyedropper under color that you can find the exact color match. And now I have this safety border around each painting for when I go to cut them out. And now the final step is to click on each frame in front of a painting and delete it, so you have just the painting with that safety border. Then in the upper right-hand corner, click the Upload symbol, which is a box with an arrow pointing up, and then click Download to download it to your photos. Then I use the Walgreens app, I upload the photo, and I have it printed at the nearest Walgreens to me, and I print them matte. And now, for 38 cents, I have 8 works of art, and each is sized perfectly to fit inside the frames. For an added layer of realism, I stipple each of the paintings with Mod Podge to give it the look of a real painting. Using a stiff bristled brush, I pounce the Mod Podge all over the paintings, and then I let it dry. It dries clear, leaving this cool texture on your paintings. Now I cut out each painting to fit the frame. For these round ones, I happened to have a punch that was exactly the same size as the outside of the frame, so I punched it and then just trimmed a little bit off. For the others, I laid the frame down, centered it over the painting, and then I marked with an extra fine gold pen the sides of the frame, and then I cut just between the painting and the sides of the frame. I don't want it to be the exact same size as the opening or the exact same size as the outside, somewhere in the middle. Ovals are always tricky for me, and this frame is very thin, so that adds an extra layer. So I trace all the way around the oval and then cut just inside the trace. All my paintings are cut to fit the frames, so now we glue them in. I run a small bead of glue around the inside of the frame. I don't want to get too close to that inside edge, but close enough. I don't want the glue to ooze out from underneath onto the front of the painting. If some does, just use a cocktail stick to get rid of it. And sometimes I will clamp these, or I'll just put something heavy on top of them to make sure that I have a good connection between painting and frame. For a little more realism, and actually a hidden detail that I like to add, I put brown paper on the back of all my art. Cut a piece of packing paper big enough to fit all of your paintings with a little space around each one. Then crumple it up and smooth it out a couple times so that you have lots of little crinkles in it. Then, using some pliers to gently hold the frame, I spray the back with Elmer's Craft Bond spray adhesive glue. As soon as I coat the back with the glue, I turn it over and press it onto the packing paper. And I do the rest so that all of the paintings are glued to the packing paper. Then I just cut them apart so that I can handle each one separately. Then, using a sanding sponge, I gently go around the back edge of the frame all the way around, and that cuts through the paper and it makes it be a perfect cutout shape of the frame. Now the backs are all covered and they look like professionally framed artwork. But you know me, I have to go the extra mile. So I use some Tim Holtz Distress Oxide or Distress ink in Vintage Photo, and I go around the edges with the sponge applicator. This gives it a more aged look, but it also hides those edges, especially on these white frames that I got on Temu, where the white showed back up, so I can just disguise that white with the Vintage Photo. Then with some black ink and some red ink, I add stamps of dates and numbers and whatever to the back to make them feel a little more authentic, like they've got some provenance. I write the name of the artist and the title of the work on the back. I also sign and date each piece that I've made at the top. To hang them from the chains, I add a tiny eye screw to the top and bottom of the upper pictures and to the top of the lower pictures. To find the top and bottom of the round frames, I use my circle template to help me locate where I should put my screws. Instead of hanging these from chains, you of course can use wax or glue dots to just attach them to the walls, or attach the paintings to a ribbon and then attach that at the top of the ceiling and let them hang on a nice ribbon for that elegant antique look. I brought the picture rail out of the Chateau so I can figure out how much chain I need to hang my paintings so that they hang in the right place. Always count the links. Don't try to measure the chain because it can twist and that'll make it shorter or longer or whatever. Just count the links between the frames so you know you're putting the exact same length on either side. And by the way, this is just random old jewelry chain. Anytime I see an interesting necklace, I grab it and then I save the chain for projects like this. And now it's time to hang our new art in the tiny chateau. I love all of these new portraits hanging in the grand salon of my tiny chateau. They just look fantastic. Even with my short ceilings, the stacked portraits look like $1 million. All of these gold-framed masterpieces add an air of elegance and history to this room. And I think there's room for one more on this wall. So I'm headed back to the studio. Thank you so much for watching my video and sharing your time with me. Please like and subscribe and leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. From the tiny Chateau Étoile, this is J-Star saying have a great day and keep making minis.